everyone. I'm Dear Durand, and welcome to yet another interesting and engaging episode of Think About It. I hope you have been taking personal responsibility at home, work, and on the roads. It's our Think Tank week, and I'm excited to think through last week's topic with you and our Think Expert. Let's meet our Think Expert for the week. My Think Expert for today is none other than our road safety expert and child safety advocate, Mrs. Omobolanle Edwards. Remember her? She was with us just a while ago. Hello again, Bola. Good to have you back.
I'm so happy to be back here. I'm excited.
Bola, you're familiar with the topic of discussion, accident prevention, right?
Absolutely.
Can you take us through the topic using the case study that was dramatized earlier?
Yeah, if I recall very well, the accident that took place was due to the distractive driving that the lady was involved in. Ordinarily, she shouldn't have picked a call whilst driving. She picked a call, she got distracted, and she got involved in an accident. Accident prevention is very, very key. And the way to avoid having to get into any accident whatsoever is to make sure you don't get distracted. Distraction can come in so many ways. She didn't use her hands-free. Even sometimes we do say hands-free can also be quite destructive if not properly well used. The best way of driving, and if you must receive a call, is to park your car, receive the call, then continue on your journey.
I was going to mention that, because are you saying now that because people just I have my earphones on or the
it's not safe.
hands-free?
It's not 100% safe.
Okay, so you're saying the best option is park your
Park
car
your car
in a safe place
if you must pick the call.
Right.
Park your car, pick your call, then continue on your journey.
Yeah. Another thing I say to a few of my friends, when I'm hitching a ride with them or something, is the call urgent? Every call, I don't know where's that sense of urgency that if I don't pick a call is like the end of the world.
Your life
What's
is
going
dependent
on?
on it. I
So
keep
as if
saying
it's not, you can look at the name, but just realize, I can wait a few minutes. I don't think every call will be an emergency. There's just that tendency that, what's it? Why must
One
every call be
second
an
of distraction can end in a very disastrous end. Don't even bother doing it. If you know you can't pick the call, it's not a life-threatening call. We always emphasize on life-threatening. If it's not life-threatening, then till later.
Okay, great. So if I were a member of the audience, all I ask is, how will I know if it's life-threatening if you tell me not to pick my calls?
You there are some calls, there's some names you see. And you get, wow, my mom is calling me. Oh, that's no problem.
At this time.
Oh, my dad is calling at this
They
time.
call 5 times.
Exactly.
Okay,
You've seen the missed calls.
So that means that there are signals
There's
that you
something
can tell.
going on, yeah.
that
Just
you can
might,
tell. Okay. That's
perhaps,
fine.
yeah.
That's a very good one to note. You can almost actually sense, if it's going to be an emergency, the call is at an odd hour, someone who hasn't called you before, the frequency of the call, then you're like, chances are this could be,
Sure.
or something like that.
Sure.
Oh, that's a good point. The last time we spoke, Bola, you had mentioned also something about what your NGO does for schools, and so I know it's not only on the roads we have accidents. So can you tell us other scenarios that we could just nip
Okay, I'll give a scenario of a life story.
Yeah.
A friend of mine who lost a child within the compound.
Oh my word.
The child was playing, and I think he had an accident. The nanny didn't really pay attention. I think the girl hit her head on the floor on a stone, and she had internal injury or bleeding. By the time this was realized, it was too late. She passed on. There was another one again that the child picked up an insecticide, drank it, and died.
Oh wow!
These are people that I know very well.
Oh my goodness!
So it's not about the road alone. Safety at home, on the road, school, everywhere. It's very key that children are kept safe at every point in time.
Okay, so the examples you gave, sad as they are, what could have been done with the topic that we're dealing with, accident prevention? What could have been done to avoid that? To avoid that.
Yeah, a lot. Okay, fine. Talking about the first scenario I gave concerning the child that fell and hit her head on the floor. It must have been due to the fact that the caregiver was distracted whilst the child was playing, because I think she was about 4 years old about that time. And she passed on. Oh. So in that scenario, what should have taken place? What kind of preventive measures should have been put in place? I would have said, yes, for the parents to have left the child with the caregiver, it meant that she's been paid to watch after the child.
Yes.
And children being children would want to always play and be curious and
Yes.
try other new things.
Yes.
She must have been distracted at the time the child fell.
Yes.
Children do fall all the time, but not having to fall on a stone.
Yes.
Something, and I'm sure the caregiver just thought that this is just something small, and it wasn't properly reported until the child started having headaches and crying and all of that. So by the time they did MRI and all of the stuff, it was too late. The child passed on. And in the second case, the second scenario I gave of the boy that drank the insecticide, he went on holiday at his grandparents. The parents went there with them. He and the older sister. Unfortunately, the grandmom kept the insecticide on the table, and this was just a little boy who just thought that, okay, this is just another bottle I could play with. Took the insecticide, put it in his mouth, drank it, and he died. And that's the end of it. So, I mean, that kind of case, you have children around you. You shouldn't have sharp objects, chemicals, insecticides, wires, electricals, things like that should be kept away from children, especially if they have to be in that particular place at that time.
It's interesting the way you're saying this now, because I mean, grandparents, that's one of the safest places you could
Supposedly.
Then a well-paid nanny, that should be a responsible. So what I'm hearing now is almost as if there must be technicalities towards this. So is it that we have to teach grandparents what to do, or the times have changed from many years ago when it was just
too. It was happening.
My gosh.
Perhaps, peradventure, there was no insecticide at that time, but they had some very local
home remedies
that. But there's some taboos or myth. More like they tell you, if you take that, this and this will happen to you.
Yes.
But these days they're well packaged. We're curious. They're children.
They look nice.
They look nice.
Like probably soft drinks.
I just want to let me see what's in this thing. Wow. And unfortunately, I've seen children put beads into their nose, stuff beads into their nose, paper into their mouth.
I was almost tempted to say, what are children thinking? But then I guess that's why they're children.
They
so
are
I think
children.
we really have to bear that in mind, that they are
children. So
depend
you have to
on us, really, to watch.
The horse rests on the caregiver, the parent, the guardian, to make sure that they're kept away from danger at every time.
Thank you so much. That was so informative. What about in our schools? I remember you said something about a school bus once. I'm interested.
The school bus.
In that.
Another scenario that happened some time ago was a school bus that were coming from an excursion, and the driver took a bend. The door opened and two kids fell off.
Oh, wow.
They fell off, and unfortunately, one broke its leg. They were taken to the hospital. A lot was done. We tried taking it up, and the mother said, thank God the child did not die. So you can't cry more than the bereaved. So you had to take a walk. I was really bitter when I heard that. I don't know them from anywhere. When I heard the story, I went about looking for those hospitals. And eventually I could see that it was being covered up. They didn't want the story to come out. Why would any school do that? You were traveling with children in a bus that were not strapped. The children were dancing, hanging, poking their heads out of the window, and boom, the door opened and they fell off the moving vehicle.
That is very interesting fact. I'm hearing another thing about this episode. Why would I think I don't know whether it's a Nigerian thing. A lot of the times we don't want to put people in a position of accountability. Okay, fine, granted the child was safe, but it's so rampant. And I think what also happens is, everybody just thinks it's not a big deal anymore. So the school is not put under any pressure to do anything different.
Yes, if you come from a country or a world where safety first, we saw something, we call it safety first. If it's part of our livelihood, if it's part of our lifestyle, we won't even get into such mess. Those children will be, getting involved in accidents and things like that. So really, safety first. In the working economy, in a country where everything works, safety first. Everything should be safety first.
Wow.
Children on the road, the house, everywhere, even as an adult, everything you must consider safety first. Safety first.
That's really good. That's really very good. What about in our offices? Any practical examples?
Yeah, offices. We've had situation of another person I know again that he died right inside their compound. A construction vehicle reversed into him. He was receiving a phone call.
Oh my goodness.
He backed the vehicle. He didn't know the vehicle was coming.
Oh my goodness.
And boom, the guy ran into him and crushed him to death. Newly married guy. Right in his office. He was a nurse.
Oh my
in one of the general hospitals.
Oh my word.
Had a pregnant wife. They were barely married for a year.
Oh my goodness.
And that's how he lost his wife. So, I mean, what do you say in such a case? And this is a company that's very safety knowledgeable.
Oh.
Would we say the guy was wrong by receiving a call outside?
Oh.
Or would we say that the truck shouldn't move at the time he moved and things like that?
So what would you say to what would you say to the accident prevention part of it? What could have happened?
Obviously, I would expect the construction firm to put safety measures in place. That's it.
Yeah, like their signs.
Yes, the signs. I remember when they were doing Beggar Express.
Yes.
I mean, some accident did take place,
Ooh.
but by the time safety measures were put into place, it's told, and
Good.
I mean, it was
And
caught.
that's part of the definition. It can be prevented.
It can be prevented. Absolutely, it can be prevented.
Great.
So just make sure they put the safety measures in place. Use all the safety tools, wares to just sensitize people that there's construction going on.
It's so interesting also that you mentioned the safety wears. I know the safety PPE
PPEs.
Equipment. Can you tell us the full meaning of PPE?
Personal protective equipment. At every point in time, it's very key for companies, individuals who to always put on their PPEs, the personal protective equipment, to make sure that people can see them and they can also see other people.
Yeah.
And to also be there and let them be aware that there's something going on here. So be careful about that environment at that point in time.
And I think, from what you've said, if they had cordoned off the area, if their signs were blaring, and I think it was one of the reasons they use yellow, attractive, catchy colors
green,
to show you,
lemon green,
to let you know what exactly is going
what's going on there.
And they should be firm with it. So even if the person who made the call was coming close to the area, they'll be like, Oga, you can't move here. Please,
and there's a tape.
There's a tape.
There's a tape.
That could have been a real preventive measure. What could have the person who was making the call? What do you think could have been? How could he have prevented and protected himself?
At that point in time, he could have by not going outside in the first place, or maybe not going that far, or not so close to where the construction was going on. We all have to put in safety measures at some point in time. Personally, everyone, the construction company,
you as an individual,
you need to be very, very safe at every point in time.
That was really good. So we know it at home, school, offices. There are ways that we can prevent accidents. And please remember, safety first. That means you take personal responsibility for your safety.
Absolutely.
So parents, you can't totally leave it in the hands of whether grandparents, your children, or whether in the hands of grandparents or teachers or nannies. In as much as they're there to help you, it's still your core task or duty to pay attention. I mean, we don't have control over everything, but we can do our best. I think we can do a little better than we're doing at the moment. Well, folks, what can I say? It has truly been an informative and insightful time with our Think Expert for the day, Mrs. Omar Bolanle Edwards. Bola is the CEO of Strap and Safe Child Foundation, and she's also a road safety expert. Because of the gravity and the far-reaching consequences of our topic of discussion, which I've subtitled Accident Prevention, Taking Personal Responsibility, we will extend this discussion by another week. What that means is, rather than start off a new topic of discussion, we will continue and conclude this current topic with our Think Expert Omar Bolanle in the course of next week. Until then, think safety, act safely, take personal responsibility, not only for yourselves, but for those within your sphere of influence. Bye for now.